So I need to check that and see if that. Is that
Just whatever I want to.
Kenny? What's in that cup there?
Didn't hear you. They're
Oh, I'm
asking.
sorry, I said, it never
I said,
land.
what's in that cup there?
Well, it's not hard whiskey,
Okay.
but it might have had it one time, but not today.
But it might need, you might need it today.
I don't know why, I just kinda like that cup from time to time.
Make sure it's not on the video in a minute.
I know, right?
Oh, let's turn it around. You already talked about it.
Okay, go ahead. I'll work on camera.
Okay.
It's just audio.
Sit in that hard room.
All right.
Sit in that hard
It's,
chair.
9:32. I'm gonna resume our work session this morning. The first thing we have up on our agenda will be the county office.
I will have some line item transfers on Monday. Unless y'all want me to go over them now, I'll go over them then when I present them, but I'll have 3.
Okay. Well, it's usually pretty routine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. Next up will be the treasurer's report. We don't have anybody here from the treasurer's office this morning, so we'll get their report Monday. And the next up will be the county judge. He's got something on here about a letter from Petersburg MS, but I don't have any knowledge of it. Does anybody else? He also has a report from UMC on their run report. They had total 12 responses, 5 within inside their designated area, 7 outside their designated area. They were, all those 7 showed to be the Petersburg area. And that was all the report we got from them. And that's all that, I believe that's all the judge had on his. The next up will be the sheriff's office. I think the sheriff has some things to talk to us about this morning.
We were having trouble with the jail cameras and the equipment. We've been having trouble for a while. We're going to have to replace some cameras. We're going to have to replace the recording equipment. It's outdated. The bid on it is $33,505. This is going to be paid for out of the commissary fund. I've talked to Jim, and since it is for the safety of the inmates, it can be used commissary, so it will be at no cost to the court to pay for this, but we have to get it done. He's requesting half up front, so we'll cut him a check here next week. He's already ordered the equipment. It's sitting on a ship somewhere in a container. So as soon as they get it in.
There's no telling when it might come.
Yeah. So, and that's all I have this morning.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions or comments for the sheriff? Okay, then we'll move on to Andy Hart and AgriLife report. They have some things for us this morning.
Okay. Well, Andy by name, but.
Well, it's on the agenda that way, the only reason I
Okay.
called him by name.
Well, I'll run through the IPM program real quick. Again, thanks for the support. I definitely try to come in and update what's happening annually, at least with the court. So it's been an interesting year in our program. We scouted again around 6,000 acres. We did about, I believe it was 11 research trials this year pertaining to different subjects. Out there in the world, we actually got some rain, and the county's going to have some dryland crop this year. A lot of the growers are feeling a little bit long in the face right now. Their yields are off 20% from what they thought they were going to be, but they're right where we kind of suspected they would. We had area-wide pest infestation, I guess, we had to deal with in the cotton crop this year. We had to spray every acre of our scouting program for flea hoppers and plant bugs, which is something we haven't had in a while. Our targets focusing on this next year, Of course, we're going to focus on our standard insects and be a little reactionary to a few things, but we're focusing on a grant we've got from Cotton Incorporated. We're working with Dr. Jordan Bell out of Amarillo and Dr. Sue Haas, the head out of Lubbock, on established dryland. And what we're looking at there is making a profit, sustainably profit here in Hale, Swisher counties, dealing with less resources, trying to find a way to make things work. What we're looking at is we don't have enough irrigation capacity to operate full pivots anymore, a lot of acres. So you tear that pivot down and put in 20 acres of drip and let the rest go to dry land, low input, where we know we're only going to harvest 4 out of 10 years here, which isn't really sustainable for the economy or the long term very much. As much as a breadbasket this area has become to be leaned on for food and fiber production. So the theory is, and I know a few guys are already doing this, but invest 1 to 3 acre inches of water through a pivot to establish a dryland crop. And that should free them up to focus their irrigation water for a best timing impact while still providing an established dryland crop. We think we can bump that harvest from 4 out of 10 years to maybe 8 out of 10 years.
Oh, wow.
In those types of situations. Of course, if there's not an existing irrigation system there, there's not much we can do. But we're going to be looking at, our variety race trials will be setting right there. We'll be comparing yield. We're going to keep up with the pest in both sides. We're going to reevaluate pretty much all of our economic thresholds for dryland situations. We're going to be monitoring the salt situations. We've been taking tissue samples. Any other protocols that we might have come along. Another Cotton Incorporated grant we've got is looking at spray tip efficacy. We'll run that on both dryland and irrigated. If we're running herbicide trials, we'll split that on both sides. And hopefully at the end of 3 years of this research, not only can we prove that it might be more economically viable to do this operation, to keep the area more sustainable, economic, and hopefully we'll have a guidebook kind of written on how to implement this, not just here, but anywhere that agriculture is dependent on the Ogallala aquifer. We were part of the Ogallala Commons this year, a big meeting they had where anyone invested in the Ogallala aquifer sit down and share their thoughts. And Nebraska and Kansas they're exactly where we were in the early 90s. Where a split pivot is a new idea to them, where they're splitting half cotton and half corn, and they're looking for drought-tolerant crops where they don't have to expend so much water. And it's kind of a horror story for them to know that we have, and it's coming in their future, not enough water resources to even irrigate the full pivot anymore. And how to split those crops summer and winter and dryland and back forth. So hopefully this will be leading the way on a lot of areas like that. Some other things we've bounced on, you guys probably noticed an increase in the price of grain sorghum. A lot of our growers had a lot, weren't afraid to put that in, and without patting ourselves on the back too much, I think a lot of the work we've done over the past several years with that sugarcane acre, and getting that guy under control and learning how to economically control it, allowed a lot of growers to properly raise the sorghum.
It wasn't a problem this year?
We had to spray some acres, but we could effectively manage it. Manage it of beneficials, and even outside of just treatments. I think 30% of the acres didn't require treatment because we were integrating our pest management procedures and managing them with tolerant varieties, beneficials. And I think there's a lot of things there. Other things we worked on, we worked, of course, with the other agents on a lot of youth things. So in entomology, we are the state superintendent for the new insect photography contest. Statewide, it was a pretty good success this last year. In addition to our Hale and Swisher County IPM, entomology ID teams and collection teams, I asked a question on our survey. It's midway through, and I usually have a lot of charts and graphs. It seems kind of boring year in and year out. But I asked in our survey, which has got about 50 responders today, how important is our impact on that youth in developing tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow's agriculturalists, tomorrow's professionals. And I've got an 86% response that says it's an absolutely key role, continue helping with the youth. And 0 said it had no impact, so it was all beneficial, but 86% said it was absolutely a key role. I'll be happy to entertain a lot of questions. I've got a lot of rabbit holes we could look at from BTE to other things. Yes, sir.
I got a question. You were talking about the splitting the pivot and all that, and maybe taking the dry land and basically watering it up. Well, I heard something, it's been a while back, about that, and they were talking about doing it, but still trying to have it classified as dry land. Is that something that
Right now,
When you get the
if any
USDA
drop of
stuff.
water lands on that, it's technically irrigated, which would impact their irrigated APH.
Yeah.
We've got an exemption to work on this through the grant and highlight it. And there's a chance that when we conclude with this, we might have a third level of insurance for that, for the high plains. Which that would be our hope. I know there's been a lot of failed interest in that third level of irrigation insurance, but this one I think has a legitimate chance of being practical.
And too, if you look around, and I said this to Kevin Adam and Donnie Edwards several years ago, I think at some point this whole place is gonna move from big farming operations to more cow-calf operations and smaller farming, because if you look in this whole area, they're fencing this place back all faster than they even fenced it back in the 60s and the 70s.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and we've got to evolve and change. And you know, Andy had a insect trial this year with cattle and things, which is interesting and growing. So yeah, we're evolving and changing and trying to remain relevant.
Well, we were very fortunate this year in that we were blessed with some timely rains. Some of the friends of mine at the farm are happy right now. We're seeing some pretty good reports of some good crops. It looked like this cotton kind of winding up on the harvest, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of guys are excited to be nearly finished with harvest by Thanksgiving.
I'm grateful, you know, for them especially. We're seeing some good crops and some good prices this year, so hopefully they'll come out a little
Hopefully
better.
we'll be looking right. It's certainly not without its challenges, and the water spigot did turn off right when we needed a lot
We
of
could have
key
got one more rain.
things, the timing. But we have a dryland crop, and there were so many guys not coming into this year after battling the past several years with the drought situations, just really didn't know how we would make it to here, so we have been blessed.
Well, how did we, I mean, our average rainfall is what, around 18, 19 inches a
Yes,
year?
sir.
And how did we come out?
It depends on where you're at, but we're right in that average area. Most of it fell in a 3-month period of time, which is pretty hard.
It's just we've been below average for the last several years, so.
Oh, yeah. So it's amazing what a little rain will do. Okay.
That concludes me.
All right, so we started off the 4-H year in August, and so far we've had 3 district contests. The first one we had was district grilling games. It is a second year for us to do this. The kids love it, and one thing that families say is that it gets the whole family involved. Like dads are helping them learn how to grill and everything. And we have 5 kids compete. We had more than last year, and all 5 placed in the top 5 in several categories. And then the seniors, which was Graydon Allen and Jacob Williamson, they were 2nd place overall. And then in the juniors, Colt and Cleet Barrett were high points overall for the grilling games. And then we had food challenge at the beginning of November. And we had 13 teams and 46 kids compete. And of those, one thing off the top of my head, I think about only 15 kids had done it before. And so we had 30 new kids who had never done the contest before compete. And we had two intermediate teams placed, one placed first and one placed third. And then in the juniors, we had a team place first and third as well. And then yesterday, we had the district meet judging contest, and we had 21 kids. In the juniors, one of the teams placed first, and individuals, Hale County had first through fifth place for high point individuals. And for intermediates, the teams were second and third, and we had several in the top 10. And then the seniors, they placed first and advanced to state as a team, and then as high points, they were first, third, fourth, and fifth. And then coming up, we had county food show earlier this week, so we had 12 kids qualified for district, and that is December 11th. And then we'll have an FCH quiz bowl team. We have not had one in quite a while, so I'm excited about that. And then we have 5 livestock quiz bowl teams who will be competing. And then for the youth development side, in the end of October, we had our annual ag fair. And we had 432 students attend with 30 teachers, and all the kids loved it. All the teachers said all the presentations were great. They really didn't have a least favorite because they were all good. They loved the goodie bags we gave them, and we had some new presentations that the kids loved. So that's a really big, fun event that we love to put on. So we're happy whenever the people love it. So, oh yes, and Edgemere, we are doing the ACE program at Edgemere. We've been going since September to do that. So we, Shantae, Andy, and I have rotated going once a week. And then also, I forgot, PCA, they've started like an ag program there. And so the teacher there is a former county extension agent, and so he is having them join 4-H, and they have to do at least one project or contest where they have to have a speaking component and prepare for something. And so that is helping us get more kids involved, and
That alone
hopefully we'll
has probably
hopefully get-
grown our enrollment about 30.
Yes, I'll say half the county food show on Monday, probably over half the kids were PCA students, and there were 2 teams for Food Challenge that were PCA kids. So we're very excited about that and working with them to.
Do you guys ever go to any other elementary schools?
Yes, and we tried to, obviously with COVID, we were shut out completely. But yes, we try to do a few programs there between all of us a little bit at different times when we can get in. And then just to finish up, Melinda mentioned a while ago some of the budget transfers. Ours is one of them. We were transferring some about $1,500 from my travel to office equipment so we could finalize purchasing 3 computer systems for Kathy and Audrey and myself this year. And then also we're moving $2,200 from Shantae's, the FCH travel expenses, to fuel to make sure we finish our fuel for the rest of the year.
Anybody have any questions or comments regarding the agri-life report? Okay, well listen, I appreciate you guys being here this morning and to bring us this report, and we appreciate the work around the county and the area with our youth and farmers.
Thank y'all for the support.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay, next up will be Ms. Phyllis Wall.
Well, I'm here this morning, I guess for clarification, with the Friends of Downtown, the second Saturday and the events that we do downtown. I've talked to Jim, and I think I might have been supposed to call Jim back, and I didn't. I'm not really sure on